Our special guest this evening from Greater Matthews Habitat for Humanity, Natisha Rivera Patrick. I don't ever have to get you do that last name. I see her quite often, but I just can go by the first name. Is going to talk to us regarding affordable housing. You have the floor, ma'am.
All right, can you hear me okay? Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all this evening. What prompted my visit today is when I was away at a conference a couple of weeks ago, one of my team members emailed me this article when you guys were asked prior to reelection about what your thoughts were on affordable housing, what were some solutions for affordable housing. And nobody really had any great answers because it's a complicated question to answer. And so I wanted to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight about the work that we're doing here in the Mint Hill community and the opportunities that are available for us to help you answer that question in a different way than we have in the past. My name is Natisha Rivera Patrick. I serve as President and CEO of Greater Matthews Habitat and have for the last 6.5 years. Our relationship with the town of Mint Hill is relatively new as of 2020. After meeting many times with my friend Brian and then with Mayor Brad, we were able to partner with the town in order to receive funding to provide critical home repairs to residents here in Mint Hill. And since then, we're continuing to grow that relationship and hope to continue to do that going forward. So I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do and give you a little bit deeper understanding of how this partnership can grow. So our mission is simple, seeking to put God's love into action. We bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Seemingly simple from the outside, we build affordable housing. We're actually a very complex business model. A little bit about Habitat for Humanity as a whole. We are part of what is called a federated network. There are actually about 1,250 affiliates across the United States. There's 60, the numbers have changed some since this slide. There's 60 here in North Carolina, and there's 7 affiliates that border each other here just in Mecklenburg, Union, and Anson counties. We each have our own defined territory. We pull our donors from that territory, our potential homeowners from that territory. And so for us, we service Matthews, Mint Hill, and the Mecklenburg County side of Stallings. So I mentioned seemingly simple from the outside. We do operate all these businesses. We are a construction company. We're a land developer. We are a nonprofit proper. We have a retail component in our Restore. We are the bank to our homeowners. We hold the mortgages for our homeowners currently. We're an educator and a trainer. We wear many hats. And so each one of those areas has their own regulatory components and requirements that need to be met in order for us to do the work that we do. So we were founded in 1989. I just mentioned where we serve. We've built 116 homes in 9 neighborhoods in the Greater Matthews region. When the affiliate started, it was just serving Matthews. In 2015 is when the change was made to do the expansion to cover Mint Hill and that Met County side of Stallings because there was an unmet need there and no one was servicing that area. We do serve all people in need, regardless of race, ethnicity, or religion, and we are the only affordable home builder and no-cost home repair provider in the Greater Matthews area. So just to give you an idea of how we're funded and how we're structured organizationally, I report to a board of directors. I run the day-to-day of the operations. I have a team of 14, 5 on my administrative side and 8 in our Restore. The way we're funded is what you see there. 49% of it comes from our Restore profits, so that's from our retail arm. 25% comes from the sales of our homes, and then the rest is broken down. I won't read each of those to you, but just to give you an idea, so our budget this year is just over $1.7 million. So when we talk about affordability, and we know, and you at the table know, that affordable housing has a negative stigma associated with it, with the term, and so I'm here to help dispel some of that. And at the end, there's some myths, some common myths that are associated with affordable housing that there are answers to, the actual correct answers and solutions for some of those things that are so misunderstood. But when we say affordable housing, all we're saying is that the housing expenses do not exceed 30% of a family's income. That's whether you make $10,000 a year or $10 million a year. 30% is the threshold. That's where the term affordable comes in. When you look at Mecklenburg County, you can see that 31% is cost burden, so that means they're paying 30% or more of their income on housing. Renters, there's 44% that have difficulty affording their homes, and then homeowners, 20% are at that threshold or above. And so who is that? That's your teachers, that's your police officers, that's your firefighters, that's your nurses. You know, it's not, there's a stigma around who we think affordable housing serves, and hopefully we'll dispel some of that tonight too. So in Mecklenburg County, a worker must earn $22.13 an hour to afford a one and two bedroom apartment here in Mecklenburg County. So if you look at minimum wage, it's much lower than that, and even somebody making $15 an hour, you're still just at, you're not even touching that threshold. And we're just continuing to grow. You see that here in Mint Hill, we see that in Matthews, and certainly in Charlotte. The population has been exploding there. So when you look specifically at Mint Hill, median household income is just over $84,000. Poverty rate is at 8%, which means there's just over 2,000 individuals living below the poverty level. And the breakdown of how that looks, you have females ages 45 to 54, and that is white females that are the largest segment, followed by white females 18 to 24 and white females 12 to 14. You have just over 10,000 housing units. Median home value is $319,400. We know the purchase price is right around $430,000, $440,000 for your average home here in Mint Hill. 79% of your homes are owner occupied, which is fabulous. 21% are renter occupied. The interesting thing when I was looking at your stats, you've got just about 7,000 units that were built between 1939 and 1999, which means you've got homes that are obviously aged and are probably in need of some repairs. Plus, we deal with things like asbestos and lead and the remediation that goes along with that. And then you have 1,990 units that were built prior to 1939. So when you look at affordable housing in our community, it's changed dramatically over the last few decades, and I saw some of that in some of the answers that were in this article as it relates to the misunderstanding. And so when a lot of folks, certain generations especially, think about affordable housing, they think about big buildings, similar to apartment complexes, right, that are going up, and it's so far removed from that nowadays. The homes we build fit aesthetically into the neighborhoods that we work in, and so there's no, you can't tell my house is different than another developer that's working on a home. So we know that affordable housing is a necessity for everyone. So when they ask who needs affordable housing, the answer is we all do. And so the whole, if you've heard the term NIMBY, which stands for not in my backyard, we'll often have people say, yes, I support affordable housing, but I don't want it next to me. And what's cool about the work that we do, one, we're building a quality product that's matching what's already in the neighborhood, or is oftentimes even a better product than what's existing in the neighborhood. It's funny when Joe Blow buys a house next to you, you don't know anything about that person or who they are, where they're coming from. Our homeowners are vetted. They go through a sexual background check, criminal background check. They have to have 10% or less debt to income ratio. So you're getting a vetted community partner that's moving into these homes. Largest misconception about Habitat is that we give away homes. We do not. And we'll talk about that here in a second. So when you look at the challenges that we're facing, one is what I was talking about, the stigma around affordable housing, price and availability of land. That's everywhere in the U.S. That's not unique to us here. Certainly the increase in construction costs, the lack of understanding around the cost associated with doing work in this space. So working in affordable housing is not affordable. It's not cheap. Increase in the home sale prices, the UDO and zoning challenges that we face, and so having partnership with our towns is crucial for how we move things forward. The way that Habitat has traditionally built, you rely a lot on community volunteers because we have a hybrid model. We outsource anything that is a permitted HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and then we try to utilize volunteers for the remainder of the work just to help keep some of those construction costs down. We have an aging volunteer committee. We call them the building committee. Some of them have been with us 30 years plus, and they're 60s, 70s, 80s, and so we don't have anyone coming behind them to replace that. And so what that means for us as we move forward is we're looking at how we build, looking from moving away from being the builder to being the developer. So working either with some type of hybrid product or a totally turnkey product. We know we have to evolve in order to scale and do what it is that we want to do to have more impact. And then decrease funding. One of our largest partners has always been the faith-based based community. And since COVID, they have not recovered from what they saw as far as a loss, not only in their congregation, but in giving. And so we've never seen, we're down about 80% in that funding that has been traditionally a staple for all affiliates. That's common across the board. So what we do here in Mint Hill, the one program we are currently doing, is the critical home repair. And so that's to address things such as unsafe structure. So if there's roofing, flooring, we've had folks that we've served here that had no running water for a year. And so when you think about Mint Hill, people see an affluent community. And so it's important to remember that there are other people out there that are on a limited income that don't have discretionary dollars to make some of these necessary changes. I know one of the families, I had talked to the mayor and them about, this lady could no longer access her bathtub, so she had somebody come over and cut out a piece so she would be able to walk in to the bathtub, and so we were able to redo her home, make those accessibility modifications so that she could age in place with dignity. This is our fastest growing program. It certainly is the largest need. And I'm going to give you some stats of who we've served in your community. So for them to qualify, they have to live in Matthews, Mint Hill, or Stallings. They have to own their own home. They can't be in a danger of foreclosure. They have to agree to live in the home for the next 5 years. They have to have lived in it for at least a year at that point. And they have to be at 80% or below the median income level. So what we're seeing in terms of stats, the average age of who we're serving is 63 years old. 37% of our households have either a homeowner or a family member that has a disability, and 51% of our households have children under the age of 18. So when we think about what it cost, since 2019, we've completed 45 critical home repairs with 9 additional fall prevention projects, which was something we did in partnership with the Central Carolina Council of Governments and Blue Cross Blue Shield as a pilot project. And so just for those 45, we were at $344,000. Since 2020, which is when our partnership with Mint Hill began, we've done 11 critical home repairs here in Mint Hill, totaling $98,000, so just over $98,000. Currently, we're allocating $35,000 per critical home repair project. When we started the program, we were seeing more HVACs or roofs, so about $10,000-ish. And now it's just much more extensive work. We have people that can see through the bottom of their floors, that have accessibility issues where we need to modify thresholds in the interior of the home to make it safe. Veterans with the same issues in terms of accessibility. So $35,000 seems to be where our average is, and that's what Mecklenburg County has agreed to too, that's the maximum, so we allocate that much. It may come in at 20 or whatever, but that's what we're saying is the threshold is at $35,000. If we don't have money that we can say we have somebody's repairs that are gonna be $45,000, we have worked in the past to layer that funding. If we don't have additional funding to support that, then we complete the most urgent things that we can. And if we completely don't have money because we've run out of funding, then we're not able to serve that homeowner. So the way we're funded for CDBG is what you see on your screen there. So Mecklenburg County in 2019 added an affordable housing line item where they allocated $1 million as a standing budget item. And so we have Charlotte Habitat. At the time, there was Davidson Habitat. They've now been absorbed by Charlotte and Matthews Habitat. And so what they did was they divvied that up by population. And so we were getting about $55,000 of that at the time. This last year, Mecklenburg County has increased that line item to $2 million. They've made the change where it's that $35,000 per, and so that's allowed us to increase our allocation to the $140,000. We also worked very hard to have a direct relationship with Mecklenburg County where we now have our own line item for the $75,000, and that's brand new this year, and that's something that we hope to grow over time. And then we get CDBG money through the partnership with Mint Hill and with Matthews. And then the town of Mint Hill has graciously donated $25,000 over the last 2 years since Brian and the mayor and I became real friends. So that total allocation is $340,000 to support that program. So one of the things people often ask is, how do you prevent people from taking advantage of these programs? And so we do have things built in place to make sure that that does not happen and that we're protecting our investment. So with the critical home repairs, they have to, once their repairs are done, they sign off on that. They have a deed restriction placed on their house. And if they sell the home within 5 years of the repairs, the total amount of the repairs is due at the time of sale. If they sell within a 5-year period, they must also sell to somebody that is 80% or below AMI, and that's just to help keep it in the affordable housing realm, because once we lose that to a developer, we don't get that back. And that keeps it from being turned into a rental product. And there are some just before and after pictures of some of the work that we've done and the types of things that we see. It could be as simple as a roof to as extensive as you see there's no back wall on that right side in that home. And so it really runs the gamut, the type of thing we see when we go into people's homes. Because of critical home repair exploding, another initiative that is new to us this year is Rock the Block, and so this falls under our home preservation. And so this deals with exterior maintenance. In fact, I was talking with Brian about this last week because Mint Hill is where we would like to target for our next one, which is going to be held in April. And so what we do is we work with the town to say, hey, are there some areas that you feel are a little blighted or that you'd like to see cleaned up? And what we do is we identify that area. We reach out to the folks living in that area and say, hey, we have this program. We're going to be out on such and such day. You can sign up to have these things done. And it's not construction related. It's more beautification, so landscaping, painting the porch posts, painting doors and shutters, removing debris and trash, that kind of work, just to help clean that up. And that's provided at no cost to the homeowner, as is critical home repair. I didn't mention that. That work is done completely free of charge to our eligible homeowners. So this is brand new to us. We kicked it off in Matthews. We had 50 volunteers out on a rainy Saturday morning. We couldn't have a rain day because we had rented tools and equipment from the tool bank. So we had a truckload full of that. So we made it work. We have to go back and finish painting a couple of things because of the weather, but totally transformed, what that space looked like. And then after that, we had even more neighbors come to say, hey, we didn't get to sign up this time. Will you be doing this again? And so we'll address that and work with them to help get them served as well. So in our new construction, and in fact, Commissioner Henderson, I think this might have been the home that you came to the dedication ceremony on. So we work with limited income families to help them build and then buy their home. And so what they do, we provide them, at the time it was a 0% interest mortgage. With this new fiscal year, we are moving to an interest-bearing model, so it's a 2% mortgage. We are also utilizing third-party financing so that we are not footing the bill for the mortgage. What's different about that for us is when we go to close, we wouldn't realize that money day of closing. We would realize it over the amortization of the loans over the 30-year period. So this allows us to get paid the day of closing, to take those dollars and then reinvest that into our next project. Families are required to work 250 hours in terms of sweat equity, and so they do that by working on the construction of their home or someone else's, working in our restore, volunteering at other critical home repair sites, and that serves as their down payment for us. They have to demonstrate a need for housing, a willingness to partner. They have to either work or live in our service area. That's also new this year. It had been traditionally that they have to live in our service area. By opening it up with the work component, that allows our town employees, our police, all those different folks that work in these towns but can't afford to live in the towns. And so our goal is to always try to cover construction costs through sponsorship, so through our fundraising efforts. And then I mentioned earlier, our construction is completed with a hybrid of volunteers and third-party vendors. Same, the way that we protect our homeownership investment is if the homeowner sells their home within the first 5 years, they don't receive any proceeds from the sale of the home. For the first 20 years, we have the right of first refusal, and that would be, the home would be sold to us at market rate, which often is way more than we would be willing to pay. But we're also fortunate that since I've been there, we've had one homeowner sell their home in the 6 years I've been there. So they traditionally will stay in their house, which is what we want to see. Beginning in the 6th year, we have a shared equity clause, so they start to earn 7.5% each year. If there is a silent second, which we haven't done any of those since I've been there, then that is no longer forgivable, and that would be due upon the sale. The only time that that isn't triggered is if they're selling to a family member or an heir. That way they're able to build generational wealth and not be penalized in that sale. We've also implemented a 45-year deed restriction so that folks that are in these homes, if they do sell, it has to be to someone that's 120% AMI or below, and that is renewable upon each sale of the home, so it helps keep it in that affordable housing space as well. So why does it matter? Well, we know that homeownership leads to greater economic stability and mobility. It allows folks to access quality education. In fact, Mr. Mayor and Brian, Lisa, who you saw at the breakfast a couple years ago, has just registered and started back in school. So she's really excited. I just saw her last week. It increases civic and social engagement, leads to better health because often the environment is better than what their conditions they were living in, and it reduces the environmental footprint. We know it increases graduation rates. It improves children's health. You have increased net family wealth, decrease in children's behavioral problems, reliance on government assistance, and asthma and other health-related conditions. So I mentioned when we look at trends for Habitat International as a whole, the largest growing segment is critical home repair. And the reason for that is it's easier to keep somebody in what's already an existing affordable unit and make it safer, drier, warmer, to make the accessibility modifications so that folks can age in place. And at the end of the day, if they're displaced, there is nowhere else for them to go. So we work really hard to make sure that they have a place to live. Many affiliates are moving away from the traditional build and moving into that turnkey model, and that's so that we can scale and serve more people. And then many affiliates are also no longer self-financing, but working with that third-party lender. So what are my challenges? Land, construction cost, steel material delays as it relates to construction, volunteers. Even with our families, there's sometimes difficulty if we have a single parent working 2 jobs, getting them out to the work site and working with them so that they can meet their sweat equity hours can be challenging. Volunteers for that building committee, we don't have folks coming up behind them to support, and we found a lot of our sponsors want to donate and support the construction of the home, but don't necessarily want to come out to the site or don't have time to come out to the site. So even more reason for us to look at a different way forward. And then the prices of the homes. Our last home on Weddington Road was $362,000, which was the most expensive we had sold, and it's what's happening with the market. Our homes are sold at the appraised value, and then we back into that, the affordability, where the homeowner doesn't pay more than 30% of their income. So my commitment, and as long as I'm in this role, is we want to provide affordable housing solutions through homeownership. We want to continue to grow our critical home repair program. We want to renovate dilapidated properties and rehome eligible families. We want to work to identify a way to meet the needs of those who make too much for our program, so over that 80%. And it's like the 80 to 120, there's an unmet need. And there's a lot of talk at International about expanding our reach to that 120. And when you look at housing costs, you really are you're more in line with from your housing prices and income if you're in that range. One of the things that we've seen and are trying to avoid is, in the past, we would work with the very lowest income individuals. And what we have found is, yes, you may get them in the home, but then they have no discretionary income to take care of the maintenance and the repairs that are needed. So then we see them 25 years later needing a new roof, needing new flooring, because they just didn't have the money to support that. We're trying to shy away from that, where we're making sure that we're setting them up for sustainability and success going forward, that they can have room and a cushion for growth, for tax increase, that kind of thing. And then adding the deed restriction, we did do that for this new year. So originally that was an idea, but we made that happen. So I'm looking to grow and expand our program. We've done the third-party financing, so this will be our first year utilizing that. I'm looking for land actively. Also looking here in Mint Hill. We have not built here before, but we would love to make our way this way. We'd like to relocate our Restore. As you know, there's always construction and road widening going on, and so eventually they're going to be widening John Street, which is really going to put a dent in our operations, and so we're trying to get ahead of that. Technology updates, what our relationships are with our local municipalities, because this is definitely a partnership, and meeting the needs of the staff that we have to help them be stable and grow. So how you all can help, one, obviously be educated on what affordable housing is, who it serves, who's doing the work, donating to our Restore. If you or your family member is downsizing, give us a call. We can come pick up that product and it's sold. Money goes into our programs. You can shop at the Restore, be an advocate. You can serve on a committee. We have plenty of those available. And invest, which the town has done. And so I think the most important thing I wanted to convey tonight is that what I learned when we did the affordable housing study in the town of Matthews, and we presented that back in 2019, We presented the information, we gave the mayor and commissioners a month to kind of chew on that, and then I went back and met with them and said, okay, now what are we going to do? And at the time, Hazen was town manager, and he said, the problem is just too big, we're not going to solve it, which then coined my new term and my mantra, which is inaction is not an option. So doing nothing is not an option. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. There's things that you're already doing that you might not even be aware of that can certainly grow and serve more individuals. And so there are solutions there. What I learned from that too is we can't look to the municipality to come up with the solutions because it's paralyzing when they look at this because it's not the space they work in, and that's totally understandable. So I created the Matthews Affordable Housing Alliance to build a community of experts and folks that can do this work so we can come with ready-made solutions to the municipalities to say, hey, this is what we can do, this is how you can help us move that forward. So I wanted to be here tonight to share who we are, what we do, let you know we are a partner working currently in your community and would love to grow that and have deeper conversations about what that could look like so we could help more of your residents here in Mint Hill. And I did a lot of talking, so if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I appreciate it. I'm going to ask that we hold the questions for
Okay,
one
absolutely.
one simple reason. I want to invite you back because there's no way I got all that. And I've sat through a couple breakfasts and a couple meetings
Sure.
and everything else, and there's a lot of information. I would like to ask if you have the opportunity to send that PowerPoint so that we can get it to the commissioners.
Yes, I will send
I'm
that over.
sure they'd like to see that. And then we do need to,
We got it.
you've got it? Okay. Then we do need to make sure that we get you back on the agenda sometime to get in front of these people again. We thank you for all that you're doing, all you're doing here in Mint Hill, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for partnering with us.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. You ready? I'm going to close the developers workshop at this time. I'm now going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Commissioners for November 9th, 2023 for the town of Mint Hill. We do have a quorum present. I'm going to ask Commissioner Henderson if she would to lead us in our invocation, please.
Let us pray. Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for just the opportunity to serve and to do what you've called us to do. We pray for your protection over our town, over our citizens, over our staff, and over this board, and that you would give us the wisdom and guidance and direction to do all that we are called to do in our roles. Have your way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. Thank you. Item number 3 is additions, deletions, and arrangement of agenda items. We do have some additions to the agenda items. Under consent agenda J, allow town manager to execute a contract with Pierce for the purchase of 2 fire engines. K, allow town manager to execute memorandum of understanding between community-based vocational training agency or business and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education. And I, adopt resolution improving an installment financing and security agreement to finance motor vehicles and providing for certain other related items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The agenda is now set. Item number 4, approve the minutes of the September 14th, 2023 regular meeting.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion, any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5 is our consent agenda. I'm not reading all of it again. I'll go down to the ones that we didn't put in. They're trying to work me to death up here this evening. Consent agenda A is to accept the September and October tax collectors report. B is to adopt surplus property resolution. C is to authorize the town manager to execute a contract for fabrication and installation of a metal storage building at the Public Services Facility site. D, accept Norwick Park streets for maintenance. E, authorize the town manager to execute a contract for materials and installation of a playground at the Public Services Facility. F, authorize the town manager to execute a contract for special inspections and construction materials testing for the Public Services Facility. G, accept August and September treasurer's report and financial statements. H, adopt resolution to award retiring Major Scott Hall his badge and service weapon. And I, to authorize the town manager to execute agreement with NCDOT for cost share sidewalk ramp replacement. In addition, J, K, and L, J, K, I, that I read previously.
Motion to approve items consent agenda A through L as submitted.
Second.
Any discussions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, we're going to continue the public hearing on ZC 23-8 to allow a church place of worship located at 8235 Bartlett Road, tax parcel number 139-061-32. John, are you going to do you have anything on this, or is I think the applicant's present? If you would come to the podium, please. Give us your name and address one more time for the record, if you would, please.
Yes, Andres Hernandez. My address is 1000 Lavenham Place, Indian Trail, North Carolina, 28079.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Henderson?
Not at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton?
No.
Commissioner Holton?
Just for the record, so it's heard, I know we went through it at the planning board, but you have included the addition of the left turn lane on Bartlett Road
We did?
and the right deceleration lane on there as well.
We have.
Which I greatly appreciate, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I had.
Commissioner Long?
No, sir.
Is there anybody present that would like to speak at this public hearing? Before I close the public hearing, I want to commend you as well. You were very responsive to the safety of the rest of the community, and this board looks at that first, as you found out in
Yes.
our earlier meetings, and we appreciate you taking care of the safety of our citizens as well.
you. Thank you.
So at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing on ZC 23-8 to allow a church place of worship located at 8235 Bartlett Road, tax parcel number 139-061-32. Item number 7 is public hearings. We have Mr. Matt Schwabel has signed up to speak this evening. If you would, sir, give us your name and your address for the record, and then you have the floor, sir.
Hello, my name is Matt Schwabel. My address is 9451 Nugget Hill Place, Mint Hill. I recently ran for commissioner. I did not win, but I wanted to come here publicly to say, Tony Long, Patrick Holton, Dale Dalton, and Tawana Henderson, congratulations on your win. Y'all ran an excellent campaign, and I had a great time doing it. So once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's all I want.
Thank you, sir. I believe we had some public comments entered, one public comment entered online. Town Manager Welch will read that at this time.
Daniel Dollinger, 4113 Commonwealth Avenue, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28205. The contents of this comment are civil. The individuals on the receiving end of this comment are an embarrassment to the greater Charlotte region. I am disgusted that Mint Hill PD would seize money from a sexual abuser without any basis to do so, then use equitable sharing as a justification not to give the woman who was awarded that same money in a civil suit, despite the entire point of equitable sharing being that Mint Hill PD keeps some of the money. You should be ashamed that you police for profit. You are evil, and anyone who is complacent with this staff from a child who was sexually abused is evil. It is absolutely unconscionable that you would behave in this manner with regards to an amount that is trivial to the operations of your police department, but could otherwise provide closure for a victim of sexual abuse.
Thank you, sir. Item number 8 is a discussion and decision on ZC 23-8 to allow a church place of worship located at 8235 Bartlett Road, tax parcel number 139-061-32. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Item number 9 is to authorize the town manager. You're going to be working a lot in the next little bit. Have you noticed that? Rest of us going to take a couple months off. Just get back with us when you're done, will you? Authorize the town manager to negotiate a design-build contract with Edifice General Contractors for the proposed community center.
Proposed what?
Community center.
Okay, that's what.
Mint Hill Community Center.
Motion to approve.
Sorry, Mr. Fry. No, we're not there yet.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Fry, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening. We advertised a request for qualifications for a design-build team, which is very similar, if not identical, to how we're doing the public services facility. We reviewed submittals, and we're recommending to the board that you authorize Manager Welch to enter negotiations with a contract with the Edifice Creech Design-Build team. We've got a good working relationship with them. They understand how the town works. There is no price yet to approve. You'll see that again come back to you. And then yet again, just like the public services facility, you'll later see a guaranteed maximum price much later down the road once we get design rolling on that. So this is just to allow Manager Welch to enter in negotiations with that team.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add that we I have conversations with Edifice. I have expressed to them the importance of having someone with particular experience in programming these types of facilities. As we might soon find out, we're talking about the renovation of an existing facility, and your town manager does not know the best way to program that for what our intended use is. So there will be specific expertise in that area that will work with the board through a series of workshops to get this community center programmed properly.
Any questions on any of that? Not to get too far down the road, just where we're at in the procedure so far. Mr. Long?
No, sir.
Mr. Holton?
I have nothing about the proposed Mint Hill Community Center, but thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Dalton?
Yes, I'm very much in favor. This is something I've been looking forward for years.
Commissioner Henderson?
No, sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the town manager to negotiate a design-build contract with Edifice General Contractors for the proposed community center.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager for the proposed community center.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 10, the cat's coming out of the bag. Authorize the town manager to enter into a contract to purchase the Bain Early Learning Academy building and plus or minus 4.450 acres at 11516 Bain School Road in Mint Hill, Mecklenburg County, a portion of parcel number 197-011-46.
Mr. Mayor, Board, might be one of the worst-kept secrets in town. But as real estate deals go, it had to kind of keep it under wraps. Little backstory, once, obviously, the new school at Bain was completed, and then the new elementary school on Idlewild, which relieved some of the crowding at Bain, there is no longer a need for the Bain ELA building, which in CMS nomenclature is obsolete due to the repairs that would be necessary and the lack of need for it. This board had the foresight to direct the town manager to work with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education to save that building as for a what is it? Potential Community Center. So that's our, with the board's blessing, that's going to be where we go with this project. Obviously, the first step in that will be to buy the building from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education. This is you authorizing me to enter into a contract to start that due diligence period at a price not to exceed $998,000, which is the appraised value.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into contract to purchase the Bain ELA building.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Before we get to item number 11, I'm going to see if I can get a couple guys' attention back there. I saw some scouts in the room. And usually when I see scouts in the room, they're working on a badge or they're working on something and they were forced to be here to get that for their uniform. Is anybody shaking their head back there? Am I getting close or not? What I'd like to do is have those two scouts come forward, if they would, please, and let everybody in the room know how hard you're working on your scout projects, what you're working on. I want you to introduce yourself first as well, please.
Jason Gallant, Matthews. Cameron Lyerly. I'm from Mint Hill.
Okay, and tell me what are you guys here for tonight? What are we working on tonight that required you to be here?
We're working on our communication badge.
Okay. Both of you? All right, if I could, I'd like for both of you to come up here, if you would, please. I want to give you one of our Mint Hill Challenge coins. It won't go on the uniform, but we appreciate Scouts in our community. A lot of great projects have been done in this community by Scouts, and we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Let's give them a round of applause. And yes, I went off script again. Item number 11 is other business and council matters. Commissioner Long, we'll start with you, please.
First, I'd like to say kudos to everyone in the audience. We've got a good crowd tonight, and that's always refreshing to see the citizens coming out and see how the business of your town's being conducted. And that way you get an upfront and close look. And also, I appreciate the enhanced effort by the Mint Hill Police in the last 30 days toward our traffic safety. The most difficult thing we do every day is drive an automobile, but I don't think most of us take it that serious. And I was dealing with a crash on a niece of mine this afternoon at 6 o'clock. So it can just happen so quickly to any of us. And Mint Hill is busy, but there's a lot of pass-through traffic here as well. So thank you to the police department.
Commissioner Holton.
All right, so we've got a little list of events coming up from Mint Hill Events in town. Wanted to make sure everybody was aware. Of course, Saturday, December 2nd is the Christmas parade. There is still time to sign up if you'd like to be in the parade. Mingle and Jingle is coming up Friday, December 15th. Now, this was new to me. It's a new event at Veterans Park where they're going to be showing the Polar Express on the big screen, food trucks, arts, crafts, train rides, and a visit from the big guy.
Me?
It just says the big guy. Also, the new park ribbon cutting and name reveal for the park on Brief Road is coming up Monday, December 18th. Come see what the buzz is all about. That is all I have, sir.
I thought we weren't going to get your radio voice for a minute, but we got it again this month. Mayor Pro Tem Dalton.
I'll follow a little bit with Patrick. We got, on the 18th of November, we have the Chamber of Commerce is having a pop-up Christmas in front of their, the chamber. And also, maybe still in Tawana's here, the Historical Society is also having an event that same day. 2 weeks from today is Thanksgiving. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, safe travels. Hopefully, everybody will be able to be with family.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, you did take mine. But in addition to that, the Historical Society had their Autumn Jubilee in September, which was a huge success. They had over 80 vendors and demonstrators. And also, they have their Christmas tea coming up, and they already have about 75 people on their waiting list for that. So it's always a huge event. But I had an opportunity to meet with the board recently and just reminded them that, you know, of all they do and that we really don't want them to be the best kept secret of Mint Hill.
Right.
That they really do some great things.
Thank you very much. First of all, Mr. Swable, I'm proud of you, son. That was a good job. I had a number of people announce on social media they were running against me for mayor as a write-in campaign, and none of them have sent me their concession speech yet. So at least you did yours front and center. That was a nice job. Second of all, I do want to thank all of you for coming out this evening and keeping yourselves aware of what's going on. Please keep coming to these meetings. You find out about things that are going on all the time. There's a lot of exciting things going on in Mint Hill with our new fire station, our new evidence room. There's a really cool playground going to be out there, and then of course our hardest working department in the town, Steve tells me, is our Public Works Department, and they're going to have a nice facility out there. And then the worst kept secret in Mint Hill, we're going to be starting real soon on that community center. Some of our current terms only are for 2 years. My term that I was elected to yesterday is only good for 2 years. And I've let town staff know that I'm going to do a ribbon cutting before I get gone. So that community center is really going to go quick. With that being said, item number 12 is we're going to go into closed session. Anytime we're doing real estate transactions, dealing with staff or any of that kind of thing, we have to go into closed session. So that's not open to the public. We will not be making any announcements coming out of closed session, so we will not be coming back into this room, and we will adjourn from that other room. So I just want to thank all of you for being here this evening. And did we miss anything? No. We're going to go to the other room. So take your time, shake your neighbor's hand, introduce yourself, and